What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Oddchopper channel, coming to you with a Friday edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks in the NBA streets. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Nice to get that Milwaukee minus 3.5 lock through for absolutely everybody. No sweat, no ifs, ands, or buts. But as of recording this right now, we're going to have knowledge about every single team that either played Wednesday, Thursday. It's great to be here on Friday. Well, Tuesday as well. Yeah, it is what it is. But we got tails. It's also the World Series going on. Won't have MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks going for a one-game World Series where all the numbers are inflated. But I found a play. So I did find a play that is posted now in Tails here, or it will be posted in Tails in the next 30 minutes because I have it set to post here at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So that'll be fun. My Vikings are on my screen right here. Skull. Hopefully they can get this done. Up 7-0 here as we begin recording. But we got the NBA streets. A lot of props have dropped and lots of information to get out to you. I saw some people, oh, he talks too much. I really don't care. I'm here to talk you through process, and the people who care about it, I really appreciate you. Smash that like button. I know that you're real ones and listening to me talk right now, but if you don't want to hear me talk as much and you just want to get my plays all the time, you can get that in the Tails package for free. Here is how. We've got partners on the left side of the screen for Pick'em. We have partners on the right side of the screen for sportsbooks, and at the very bottom, Rebet, which is available in 47 to 50 states, where it functions just like a sportsbook. It is fantastic stuff, though. Sweepstakes book. You can get a free month of Lindy's Premium Tails package. That's me. That's a $50 value just by signing up at one of these places. You have to follow these 4 simple steps. Here they are. You simply find the promo that you like. That's a great start. Sign up using our offer deposit and place a bet. Take advantage of those offers. There's tons of them going there. Take a screenshot of your welcome email and first settled bet, and then email support@oddshopper.com. So support@oddshopper.com with those 2 screenshots. Super easy. Your welcome email, first settled bet. Super easy, super clean. Let's party. But that kind of does it for me. I'm ready to rock. I've got 10 games. I don't know why I act like I'm done with the video. I'm just getting started. Producer Jacob, hi, hello. Don't make fun of how I'm using my hands. Let's get to the base. Ready, fight. Brooklyn, 11.5 point dogs going up against Orlando. And I will say Ben Simmons, kind of a little bit of a troll job because he ends up in the starting lineup. I kind of was projecting him all day for that, but what I wasn't projecting, Nick Claxton not starting. He was on a limitation, and that kind of changed the atmosphere completely. I tried to get some money down as quick as I could on potential triple doubles where you parlay them together. For the people who don't know, go to FanDuel, stack up points, rebounds, assists. It generally pays out better than what the listed triple double price is. You can do this in a number of other books. FanDuel, probably the quickest, easiest in order to perform it. And so just wanted to throw it out there. Thought about getting a lot more money down on it and, well, couldn't post it, couldn't get anything done in time for the people in the Discord. So kind of just said, screw it, is what it is. But kind of a troll job because 24 minutes, he was kind of hard capped as it is. You don't want to read too much into his box score. I don't see tons of minutes upside for him in the near future, even starting, but with no Claxton out there, the rebound numbers, I expect to be better than just, 4 or 5 that we're running into here in that first outing, 5 assists to go along with it. Be on the lookout because that's a guy who fills up a box score. And, of course, the Dennis Schroeder thing sucks. Lost by the hook. Had a lot of really good calls. Felt really good about the process for a number of those props. Kind of unlucky in a couple of different spots. Jalen Johnson really didn't want to shoot a basketball. We can talk about that in the Atlanta spot. But Orlando, probably one of the most impressive teams on opening night. Paulo Banchero said it in the video. He's one of the most underrated players in the NBA, and he went out and just single-handedly eviscerated the Miami Heat. This is a team perfectly constructed. I love the KCP ad. I love just about everything that they did in their offseason. And Franz Wagner, if he makes that step up, same thing applies. That hasn't changed in just one game of analysis. If he can take that step up in his game, we're going to see Orlando, a team that you really want to be on the right side of. Now, we're not going to be going to any Dennis Schroeder props here. No. Can't deal with that anymore. That was a little bit of pain and suffering personified to lose by the hook, but I don't really see a lot that we want to be jumping on early in this one. I'm going to say Orlando, 11.5. They beat Miami, drummed Miami in Miami, but I think against Brooklyn here, we'll see kind of how it all comes out in the wash. It's not a very good basketball team. I still don't expect them to be a good basketball team, but in terms of my power rankings, this is still an Orlando team that I'm having a tough time putting them into that top 5, top 6 type tier. But there's no doubt an impressive opening night for them would lean this direction, but nothing standing out. Now this game, there are no props out, and yet I'm going to talk props. Philly, 4.5. Toronto, oh boy, Toronto. Emmanuel quickly was well on his way to eviscerating that slate, and it sucks. He ends up hurting his that thing. Ow. Anyway, he won't be playing basketball here tonight. He is doubtful, and doubtful means that you're more than likely not playing basketball, for those who don't know. And Philadelphia, no Joel Embiid again. What are we even doing? Andre Drummond more than likely going to be showing up here at the center spot again. He had terrible foul trouble, but he still cashed over 11.5 rebounds for everybody in tails, and that felt good. Was very, very high on that, even with the foul issues and taking on Milwaukee, where we were heavy on Milwaukee minus 3.5. I still felt very comfortable adding that play. Nice that he was able to cash that. It closed at 13.5. So if you got on it way late, you didn't convert it, but 11.5, we bet it at 12.5. Nice for him to get some garbage looks and get over that number. But Toronto, there's really no hope if you're not going to have Emmanuel quickly out there. This roster, still waiting for RJ Barrett to get back. You're going to be looking at Davion Mitchell stepping into this point guard role more than likely. I find this very, very appealing to be looking at props, though, even though, because again, Philadelphia missing Paul George, missing Joel Embiid, those are problematic things. And gotta tell you, feel very interested in this piece specifically. Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin didn't start. There was some discussions after the fact. Nick Nurse talking about, we like him a lot coming off of the bench, yada, yada, yada. I get it. You're going to start him in spots over KJ Martin. There's no way you should have KJ Martin out there in this specific spot against Toronto. Put your best players out for the most amount of minutes. That's the way that I look at it. I've never understood why people want to do things otherwise or contrary to that. And wouldn't you know it, Kyron Williams scores, because he always freaking scores. Kyron Williams scores every freaking week. Passing touchdown. Oh, back to this. We've got one more prop to look at. Chris Boucher. This is a guy, when you are thin on Toronto, you just put out there and you let him cook. You absolutely let him cook. He ended up going over this number, ends up putting up some points out of the middle of nowhere. Now, Toronto hates him. Toronto's always hated him. It's weird that he's always been there, because it feels like he never gets run in spots where they're even thin. And yet I really, really am interested in this. Neither of these are available right now, but if you go to FanDuel, you take a look at this. If you're getting better than 4-1 potentially, because again, Chris Boucher, I can't imagine, I don't know why I'm doing like the Trump thing. I can't imagine that he's going to have some kind of a number going that's going to be close to that, but pay close attention, because Caleb Martin, I think he steps into this starting line. Charlotte, 5-point dogs heading to Atlanta. I'll pick it up a little bit, because again, I'm not trying to kill your time. I'm really not. I just want to talk through process, because this is early season NBA where not everything is set in stone, and we want to react to news that seems as though it's going to be solidified, or lineups that we think are going to be solidified, and we want to react to slow moving lines where they're like, they're just a little bit stubborn. We'll get to that with the locks specifically. But Charlotte, this is a team without Mr. Miller. Brandon Miller will be out for this one. And Atlanta as well. I mean, this is Dyson Daniels' world. We're just living in it. Where did this dude come from? I mean, I know he came from New Orleans, so that's the easy answer. But the other part of this equation, friends, is that he was awesome in opening night, and I'm pretty excited about the construction of this Atlanta team against bad teams. I'm not very excited about it against good teams. I think they're going to beat up on some bad teams with Jalen Johnson, Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, Dyson Daniels, DeAndre Hunter, who I've always liked, and then, of course, Trae Young. Trae Young played some good basketball there. I think he was a little bit underrated last season relative to how he actually performed. But I'm not a Trae Young stan by any means. But Charlotte, Josh Green, he's questionable entering this one. I think he steps into the starting lineup if he's good to go. Was out for that last one. He would replace Brandon Miller, who's out with that hip. So pay attention to some of that news. I think there's going to be usage available at Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball played great up against Houston, that's for sure. But I can't really say that there's anything that I like from a spread or a total perspective. But back to Dyson Daniels. This guy is a decent three-point shooter, and if we're going to see the kind of run he saw right from the get-go, if we're going to see 30-plus minutes in a starting spot here for Atlanta, Bogdanovich is out. There's extra room for him to grow here. Plus 150 on over 1.5 threes is way too good over at DraftKings right now. I would bet this north of plus 140. So 1.5 threes, Dyson Daniels, that spot in this lineup, pretty thin rotation for Atlanta. I kind of like it. Jaren Duren. Everybody wants me to go back to the double-double. Eric bet the double-double. No, it was plus 210 on opening day. I looked at it because I was like, What was that number last year? Plus 210 opening day, Jaren Duren. He covered that in the first 3 quarters of it. That was your lock from the first video last season. So, hey, we've converted our first lock on both videos. We'll see. Celtics were up 10 at halftime. That felt good because Washington, Jordan Poole could not have shot better, played better, and they're still down 10, which is hilarious. But we'll see how that one progresses. Why can't I talk? But we got Detroit. We got Cleveland. Cleveland's front court confirmed very, very good at basketball. Detroit, I think a little underrated this season. I think offensively, we're going to see Cade Cunningham take on a huge workload. But Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, there's actual NBA players that surround him. It's just a really tough spot going to Cleveland here to really do anything on this number. I have it at 10.5. I'm not going to be betting half points. Don't get in the habit of that. Again, there's this thing called vigorish juice, -110. You still got to beat it. Even a -105 on the 10 side. Again, that's 10.5. I would be favoring Cleveland. Wouldn't be looking at backing Cleveland in any capacity, but I am looking at backing Caris LeVert here. Caris LeVert, Sam Merrill ended up on the floor in that first rotation. We saw Caris LeVert, but in certain spots, this is kind of the Peyton Pritchard conversation. In blowouts, I still think Caris LeVert is a guy who will be on the floor shutting the game down. And I think that that's a big difference between betting a prop on a guy that you find to be somewhat efficient under most circumstances, and then knowing that you have extra outs where he could be the only lone ranger out there instead of Garland, Mobley, and Donovan Mitchell. So in games where you get some of those, I mean, would it surprise anybody if Cleveland's up 18 with 6 minutes left in this one? No, it wouldn't. Caris LeVert can still shut down the wagon, and that's very important when you're betting props and median outcomes. You can look at averages. People who cite averages on Twitter, I usually write them off. I don't block them. I just, the mute button's beautiful. Although apparently you can't even block people anymore. What's going on, Elon? We got to have a conversation. But let's have a conversation about this. Even money on Caris LeVert, 13.5 points. He is the main driver of this second unit. He checked in with Sam Merrill, even though Sam Merrill's job is to go out and score. Do I expect Caris LeVert to score what? 15 points like he did in that third quarter? I think it was 15 points he legitimately put up in that third quarter. It was absurd watching him go nuts against Toronto. But he'll be a guy that, he checked out of the last game because they were up 30. But 15, 20, feel really, 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 really good about the over 13.5 points. Also feel really good about getting you $200 in bonus bets when you just bet $5 at a place like Bet365. Now, it's only available in a select number of states. Here, up on your screen in 2, 1, bingo. Maybe. There it is. Colorado, Louisiana, Virginia, Kentucky, New Jersey, Arizona. Why do I always read these out? Oh, I know why. Ohio, Iowa, Indiana, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Come on and raise up. Take your shirt off. Twist it around your head. Spin it like a helicopter. And then this one's for you. This one's for who? Us. Let's go. Let's continue on our merry way. But yeah, that's only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Bet 5. Get 200 at Bet365. Alrighty, y'all. Back to the picks. Do we expect the Knicks to be as bad as what they were against the Celtics on opening night? No. But I have questions about their defense. Indy taking on the Knicks. And this is just like a prime thing that NBA teams are starting to understand. If there is a weak link, expose it. Now, it generally doesn't happen until the playoffs, and some teams aren't equipped to be able to really punish teams. The Celtics surely are, because everybody on the floor shoots threes, whether it's Al Horford, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Drew Holiday, Derek White. I mean, it's just a ridiculous embarrassment of shooting that the Celtics have. Indy's kind of similar here, and yet I'm still not positive that they're going to go out of their way to do what they did last year. Again, this was your Eastern Conference Finals matchup that you had between Indy. Well, no, not Eastern Conference Finals, excuse me. Indy and the Knicks faced each other, and then the Celtics played the Pacers and just swept them in 4. Thanks for coming. Have a nice day. Or was that the correct way that it went? Pacers, yeah, because the Pacers won the series. Anyway, we're looking at the Knicks and Karl Anthony Towns. That's who I'm talking about here. Defensively, he doesn't have the same pieces he had around him when he was in Minnesota, but still above average defensively on the wings. You've got one Mikal Bridges. You've got one OG Anunoby. Notably, defenders. That is what they first and foremost are. Mikal Bridges' shot, not as broken as people want to throw out there, although it takes 48 minutes for it to get off at this point in time. And, well, that's the length of a basketball game, so we got to work on that. But Indy, defensively, they didn't really have a lot. They brought a lot of great offense, though, to Detroit, even in a game that they didn't move the pace as much as what I was expecting. Thought about talking about an under here, thought about running it out, but reran a couple of things. And I think this is what stands out most. The Knicks are not going to be as bad as what they were against the Celtics. The Celtics, historically good three-point shooting on opening night through three quarters. Don't read it too much into it. I think one game is going to make a lot of teams look bad. What I do think is that the Knicks, they go into, you start hearing the vibes, you start hearing the pressure. Karl Anthony Towns in a big city, in a big market, things escalate. But Jalen Brunson exists here, going up against Tyrese Halliburton, one of the worst defenders in the NBA. Although he's so good offensively, you still want him on the floor. TJ McConnell should have played more in that game, is what it is. Overall, I don't have a ton of interest in props or anything from this one. Gonna let it play out. The Knicks, one of the toughest teams to bet from a prop perspective because they're so solidified and they have a terrible bench. They're going to play their main guys a lot of minutes. And when that happens, books get to project teams for lots of minutes. You're basically taking unders or pass on a lot of Knicks. But New York, -4.5, take it or leave it. To my favorite play of the evening, we go. Memphis, 1.5-point dogs in Houston. Awesome stuff. Seeing Ja Morant back on a basketball floor. Seeing Marcus Smart, as annoying as he can be from time to time, back on a basketball floor. We're still waiting for Jaren Jackson Jr. He will not be suiting up in this one, which will lead into our lock. But let's at least address the Houston side of things. Phenomenal game from Alperen Şengün. And guess what? Doesn't matter. LaMelo Ball came out. He decided, you know what? I'm back. And he kind of solidified himself as a guy that, well, maybe it's a bounce back season for him. 38 minutes in that spot. As for the Houston rotation, 37.5 minutes for Fred VanVleet really stood out to me. 35.5 for Jalen Green. Going to be hard for Reed Shepherd to find a lot of rotation minutes. 15.5 minutes for him. But really, what I'm looking at here on the Rocket side is Jabari Smith playing tons of minutes, 33 for him, and Alperen Şengün, 35.5. I don't know defensively how Dillon Brooks would potentially match up on Memphis with Jaren Jackson Jr. in here, but maybe he does end up on Santi Aldama. I really don't care at this point in time because I still think that this is just a slow urge for books to not move a line on a guy who there are priors for. Now, what do I mean by prior? Santi Aldama, he's playing under completely different circumstances now than what he was last year, playing alongside a lot of minutes. And I mean, look at this closing. Like, it wasn't a closing lineup here for Memphis, but I want to at least point out how insane some of the Memphis stuff was. A guy named Jay Huff ended up playing like almost the entire fourth quarter, played 22.5 minutes. Didn't see that coming in a million years. He legitimately closed. You also had Jalen Wells on the floor for a long stint there for nearly 4 minutes and 10 seconds in that fourth quarter. And Scottie Pippen Jr., 4 minutes and 40 seconds until the 4-minute mark, gave them a nice luxury as Ja Morant was able to sit, come back, and then close things out in that final 4 minutes. But we're going to Santi Aldama here, who checked in at the 7:20 mark here. Now, Santi Aldama played 31.5 minutes, closed this game, but I think there was a huge empty chunk of space between the third quarter until that fourth quarter rotation where he came back at that 7:20 mark. And I think that there is a chance 31.5 minutes with the way that he played turns into 33, 34 going forward until Jaren Jackson Jr. gets back. Now, Zach Edey ran into a lot of foul trouble. You had Santi Aldama, no doubt, knocking down shots, 5 for 10 for 3, 10 for 16 from the field. But I play a minutes game, and I play a usage game. This is too much usage with a guy like Marcus Smart and Ja Morant, who are happy to function through somebody else. Desmond Bane only playing 27 minutes, who is coming back from injury. Brandon Clark, very limited in his minutes, 14 minutes, as they want to be easy on him with all of his injuries. There are tons of reasons to be high on 30-plus minutes for Santi Aldama until Jaren Jackson Jr. is back. And now we are sitting at 8.5 points for a prop right now. Oh, wouldn't you know, it was 8.5 against the Jazz. Now, Houston, much better defensive team, but I don't care. If you give me this amount of minutes, do I need the 27 points that he scored on opening night? No. I need 10. 10 points. 9.5 potentially could be the number when you hear this, but I just bet this at -130, and I was happy to lay the juice. Don't really care. -133, it currently sits out at Caesars. I'm looking at my lineup, and Trent Sherfield just scored a touchdown. That's wild. Santi Aldama, over 8.5 points. Lock it up. My favorite play, bar none. This is not points chasing. I hear me again. This is not points chasing. Chicago +9.5 on the road in Milwaukee. Thank you, Milwaukee. Really appreciate you and your service. We appreciate you. And we're going to fire you up again here because the Bulls are not very good. Josh Giddey, not the guy you want to go out and be acquiring if you are trying to build a winning culture. Now, he's going to be fantasy relevant. He's going to have big games. He played well in the Olympics. He shut down a couple of games. He shot nearly, 50%, nearly 50% during the course of that Olympic run for Australia. Put another shrimp on the barbie. Actually, that is Australia, so the joke would be Austria, but whatever. I don't really find there to be a lot of appealing stuff. Now, Chicago, I ended up getting a little bit of money down as I realized Zion Williamson was not playing. I got very nice closing value on the ticket, and you know what I can do with that? Throw it away. I'm going to throw it away. And in fact, I'm just going to right my wrongs. Now, Kobe White did play 35 minutes. I did take a pick 6 under on him. Again, that's available in a ton of states. Promo code Lindy if you haven't signed up. My hair looks ridiculous, but we have a great chance here to just run this back again. Milwaukee, they could be this year's Dallas, where if you're getting that cohesion, and Taurean Prince, I don't expect what we saw from him opening night. He was kind of like my under-the-radar all-star, but Damian Lillard set the world on fire. Giannis Antetokounmpo, him and Dame looked much better on the floor together. Now, it was a lowly Sixers squad without their main two pieces, PG-13 and Embiid, but there's no main pieces on Chicago. There's legitimately none. You're playing offense through Vooch and Kobe White and Josh Giddey. Think about that. Milwaukee minus 9.5 have this closer to 11. Golden State taking on Utah. Holy mother of God. When I got to this game and I started updating my sheet, my head wanted to explode. Why is that, you ask? Golden State played a legitimate 12-man rotation even before the blowout. Lots of people online, I posted the old box score, and they're like, well, yeah, they were running blowout run. No. They played 12 guys. Now, this could be genius if you have functional guys. It's hard to say you can get in a, quote, rhythm. It's also hard to say that you want to have 12 guys playing every single game in the NBA where rhythm and pace can still be a thing. However, a lot of them kind of play stylistically the same. I mean, a lot of them, like Moses Moody, didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but was out there hunting for himself. And Gary Payton fits into kind of that number 2 role the same way a Podziemski does. Now, he's a better defender than Podziemski. Podziemski does better stuff on the offensive end of things. But overall, we're going to see some push and pull. Trace Jackson Davis. I still think this will be a game, considering what we just saw on the other side with Walker Kessler, who played awesome, I would say. Dare I say awesome? I mean, looked better, more like his rookie self than his sophomore self in that game. Almost watched the entire thing with Memphis, and that's how he landed on Santi Aldama, where he's going to get open looks. John Morant, Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart. Yeah, he's going to get open looks. We should bet that. But we're also going to be betting something here. I just don't know what it is. I think it's going to be unders on the Golden State props in some capacity. You can't legitimately run 12 guys out there nonstop, but they just blew the doors off of Portland. Utah defensively, the worst adjusted defensive rating in a game on opening night, period, end of story. I get that off of dunks and threes. I utilize that to help me with my metrics in terms of pace, in terms of how I'm going to project teams going forward. And I do not project Utah to be particularly good on the defensive end. Not because of Walker Kessler, because he's actually a pretty good rim protector, but because of the mid-range and the perimeter. Godspeed when Colin Sexton is out there on a raft on an island and you don't have Chris Dunn now in LA with the Clippers. But anyway, we're going to get ourselves out of here. Golden State minus 2, lean. This is 3.5 at a number of different books. It's weird though, because I have this at the 3 number. And again, that's just, a point is not going to do it for me. It's hard when you have 12 dudes in a rotation. It's going to be a slow team for me to figure out. We have the option of being able to sign up at one of our partners and getting yourselves everything here for free. But if you just want to get tails, you've signed up at all the sports books and all the pick'em sites, well, promo code Lindy50 is live until November 1st. So this is Halloween, 50% off, Lindy50. Get the daily picks, the premium Discord. Would love to see you there. Don't really have a whole lot else to say. Do you want to get my picks? Do you want to talk through the process? Do you want to ask me questions? DM me, whatever. Yes, those are all things you want to do. You can do it at Tails. Down at the link below, Lindy50, $10 for your first week, $25 for your first month. Back to the picks we go. What are we doing here, people? What are we doing? Bronny, you wanted to bet Bronny James? Understand how books work and operate and make money. there was about equal amounts of money on the over and the under, and it was like minus 130 on the over and minus 110 on the under, and I was just like 40 cents of hold. I want to own a sports book. That's what I want to do in that event, because holy mother of God, has to be the worst thing to bet on, period. However, I want to at least talk about why you should only bet the over if you're looking at doing anything in this game. Because if he sees the floor, he probably plays more than a minute. If he doesn't see the floor, the ticket gets voided. What are we doing betting the under of 0.5 points? Now, he played 4 minutes. He got 2 shots up, one that could have been a tip back, one that was a 3, and some people will say, under, easy money. I would argue you're an idiot if you take the under of Bronny James 0.5 points in this game. Now, it's more than likely, I'm going to say a majority of the time, he doesn't score in this game. But that's because also a lot of that is factoring in your ticket getting voided. The situations where he plays 0 minutes and doesn't see the floor. So Bronny James, just don't bet it. But if you do, I know it's minus 130, but you have to bet the over because there's such a good chance that that ticket gets voided. Good talk. Oh yeah, Anthony Davis is really good. 25 points, 1+3. We had to add that to the mix. We just did. We're running it back. I mean, did you watch him opening night? You think Nurkic is going to come out on the perimeter and deal with Anthony Davis? He's going to make at least 1 3 on him. Wish he had made that second one at the end of the third quarter. I've already brought that up. Let's go to the last game. New Orleans taking on Portland. Zion Williamson expected to be here for this one, and that doesn't look good for Portland. Oh boy, Portland. You looked terrible opening night, but we kind of expected you to be terrible. Denny Avdia, Tamani Kamara, Anthony Simons. Lots of ways that this just gets hell-bent. Just absolutely hell-bent. But gotta let you know, there are ways that you can still bet this game that I think are somewhat close to positive EV. Now, you could take the money line, you could combine it with the under here, and you just say the Pelicans blow the doors off. I also think developing a number of these other pieces for the Pelicans, like defensively, they've got some pieces that are just kind of waiting to emerge. Like, I legitimately think that this could be one of the most interesting teams in the West if everybody stays healthy, which is a huge if when you're talking Brandon Ingram, when you're talking CJ McCollum, when you're talking DeJounte Murray, who ended up breaking his hand. So there's that. That really kind of sucks. So he's probably going to be out for some time. It sounds like 15 games or so. December 1st, my estimated time date. And Trey Murphy will be coming back here eventually. But yeah, everybody just gets hurt when you're in a Pelicans uniform. That's how it works. Daniel Tice at the center position can knock down some threes. I'm going to be paying attention to that one against DeAndre Ayton because, again, there's certain centers that just don't step outside of 18 feet. DeAndre Ayton falls into that bucket. Daniel Tice can knock down a shot or two. So there's things we can bet. I just haven't bet them yet. New Orleans, -5 lean, under 218.5 lean. Daniel Tice, I'll just say that one out loud for the people who are actually listening to me. 3-pointers, potential there. But yeah, nothing that I'm going to bet as of right now. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section. Let me know your favorite plays on Friday. I'm always looking down there, always interested to see what people are putting out there. Had some really sharp takes that I think on opening night, some really sharp props people were putting down there. Obviously, it's weird. First 2 locks that ended up being on my cards for this beginning of the NBA season, both spreads. I don't know how that works. Also, favorites, there were spreads. Milwaukee, Boston. We'll see how this Boston one comes to fruition. What is that game at, producer Jacob? Who cares? I got to get myself the heck up out of here. Also, Puka Nakua's playing a lot. 4 catches, 64 yards. Holy crap. Why? Come on, Minnesota. We got to go. Tails, they're great. Sign up for that down below. But it's nothing else to add. First NBA week in the books. Until next week, and check out NFL Lindy's, and I'll have some World Series betting tales, so don't you worry. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Friday.